I'm here at WPP Stream USA, which is a confab of their clients, their business partners, and I'm here with Lou Paskalis, a storied marketing executive I've known for a number of years, very influential thinker. His title at Bank of America is Customer Engagement and Media Investment Executive. Lou, so much to cover. Let's get right into tectonic shifts, it appears, in the industry. Reports yesterday of digital media startups missing their advertising revenue numbers. It seems like it's been a tough year in advertising for most media companies.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I think we have a couple of factors that are really coming into play. The consumer is now in control like never before. They have choices. And traditional advertising, which was built sort of in this aggregate model of a low common denominator message, isn't resonating. And so more bespoke things need to be created to break through. And there needs to be more fidelity around audience interest. And so there's big shifts as companies invent new modalities, new things to engage with that are run perhaps in ad spaces but aren't really ads. They might be a marketing utility, a little widget that helps you get through your day. You're seeing a big rise in content, and you're seeing money shift towards content production and away from advertising buying. And so I think the ebbs and flows in a weird way are good because we need to get away from best practices.
So it seems like you're saying there's a reconfiguration between what is creative, what is media. You did this interview, we talked about this term as relationship marketing, which might sound to somebody like, Mad Men, Steaks and Martinis, but that's not what you were saying that it was. What is this notion of relationship marketing? What does it mean for media spend, creative spend?
Yeah, so we're now in an era, right? If we're going to compete for attention, we need to invest in the relationship, and we have the technology to look at lifetime value. Over time, in a privacy policy compliant, anonymized way, which I must say, we can actually see that individuals have had interactions with this kind of content and cultivate the relationship by putting content in front of them that is really relevant to what they're doing right now. And in doing that, you're investing in that relationship. You're demonstrating that you share the same values. You're building trust, really, so that when they are in the marketplace for a product, you're not just starting the conversation there. You're actually recommending something. So products as solutions.
Well, this has always been a thing for banks with their customers, which is telling people how to protect their money, how to grow their money. One of our investors, Ribbit Capital, did a piece that by 2030, the amount of investable wealth that millennials have will 5x, right? How does the bank think about all the things you just said in the context of the next generation of investors, savers, and spenders?
Yeah, well, the answer is the answer actually lies in your question. If you are looking at lifetime value and you have a high fidelity way of doing that, you can see that the next generation and the generation after them are people that we should be cultivating a relationship with now. Not because they're perhaps the most valuable customers today, but over the course of a lifetime they'll become that. And Bank of America is uniquely positioned with 8 different lines of business that actually are relevant throughout people's lives. Not just checking and savings, but home loans and car loans and wealth management, retirement. So as we start to put content like Better Money Habits in front of centennials about how to be smarter with their money, that starts to say, we care about you, because it doesn't end with some sort of transactional message.
As you're sitting here and you're explaining this all to me, I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is a lot of work for people at Bank of America to do. And I'm thinking to myself, what is your agency doing all this? And how are they even able to participate in this, given that you're not throwing something to them that they're sticking on a site or sticking on TV? Is there a role for the agency in all this stuff that you're talking about?
There are a number of roles. So my background is comm strategy, and so we certainly rely on our agency for communication strategy, insights around the audience, really understanding mindset and motivation beyond the signal we get on our own platform. And they're helping us work with data partners. They're helping us think about technology solutions. So there's more of that. There's less of traditional ad buying, right?
Okay.
But the other thing that, they're really a conduit for talent. We are really always looking for this sort of big thinking generalist with certain specializations. And they help us aggregate talent, whether it's within the agency system to come into our business and help with a specific project, or if it's maybe somebody that we should think about taking on board. And so very good partners in that sense, but the business is changing, and it's not going to be about buying standardized units that fit in standard size boxes and measuring awareness and
does your agency need to reconfigure for you? I mean, do you need a unified creative media agency? Does it work for you anymore to have a creative agency and a media? And this is a topic that we've been covering for years, but it does seem like it's reaching a little bit of a breaking point now.
It's funny. By the way, doing interviews with you is great because the answer is always in the question. I just have to follow your lead. But you're absolutely right. No, you're 100% right. When I started in this business, there wasn't a distinct creative agency, media agency, and there was no such thought as a digital agency. I was talking with David Sable earlier from Y&R.
David Sable's the CEO of Y&R.
And a big thinker in our industry, and he said the same thing. When the clients used to come to him and say, what are the new products we should be developing? Tell me the talent profiles that we should be looking for. It was a full service agency. And then it got sliced and diced into these silos, and we got pulled down the funnel by a lot of digital metrics that are transactional in nature and don't really reflect, the relationship. And so everything became a specialty. The way we work now, and you hear this all the time, you hear the agile environment. This is how marketers are going to have to solve, with everybody essentially in a room, and it looks like 5-year-olds playing soccer, but that's how you market today. Agencies need to be allowed to do that too. So you need to have a technologist and a creative and a cultural anthropologist and a media mind and a researcher in the same pod working on the same problem in real time. That's going to happen.
All right, last topic. You spend a lot of time with media partners, even in this changed world. How do you feel about the flurry of consolidation that we've heard about? We know AT&T and Time Warner is being looked at. We see reports yesterday that everybody is bidding on Fox properties. Is that just noise, or does it concern you in terms of how you're going to get your message out?
I'm concerned about overconcentration in the sense that it weakens the marketplace, right? You want some differentiation in the marketplace. We've seen that there has been a lot of concentration in certain digital areas that hasn't been good for the marketplace, because it's allowed those groups to not pass data back. And data is going to become perhaps more important to the advertising industry overall than the ads themselves, right?
Yeah.
Knowing what's important to you. So at the same time, to compete with those concentrations, you need to have other organizations that are equally strong. I was excited about the reconstitution of AOL with Yahoo into Oath, because that actually created this third force, as Martin likes to talk about, that is transparent with their data. So when it's in that direction, it's good. I think, though, we need to make sure that the ecosystem has 6, 7, 8 really strong players.
You like Twitter a lot. I follow you on Twitter. You do a lot of work with Twitter. You like Twitter.
Twitter's great. Twitter has unique superpowers that are really, if you've been in the industry for a long time, you understand. They're a fountain of context. When something happens in the culture, you'll know immediately on Twitter. Epidemiologists study virality on Twitter because they can see from the tweets. So it's a business intelligence platform. And I think ultimately there's going to be a lot more focus paid to Twitter as signal versus Twitter as advertising.
Okay, they're giving me your choice, dealer's choice of last question, okay? Well, I guess I'm the dealer. Player's choice. Okay, do you want to give me your perspective on Snap, or do you want to talk about what you think the big themes are here and that you're looking forward to?
Big themes here, without a doubt, I think are really, how do you create an era of, enlightened thinking in this era of continuous disruption? You've got this idea of conventional wisdom and metrics that sort of are backward looking, that we goal ourselves against, that there's performance, incentives built in, but they really don't anticipate the future. And so how do you create culture? How do you think around the next corner? How do you sort of abandon best practices, which become the worst enemy of innovation? And I love those themes here, and there's a lot of really scholarly people thinking about them.
All right. Well, Lou Paskalis, thank you for joining us. Thank you for cutting your conference attendance a little bit short for 7 minutes with us this morning. Back to you guys at the stock exchange.